The planet of Valora was unlike any other in the known galaxy. Towering crystal spires jutted from the ground like frozen lightning, shimmering in the twin suns' harsh light. The cities were alive with colors that danced across the surfaces of buildings and the streets, as though the planet itself were breathing. Valora was home to the Leora, a proud and formidable race of beings whose physical and psychic powers were unmatched in the universe. Yet among them, there was one who seemed to embody everything her kind despised: weakness. Princess Aelira, heir to the throne of Valora, was frail, timid, and clumsy. While her sisters could lift immense weights, control psychic flames, or bend the planet's crystal architecture to their will, Aelira struggled to hold a sword without dropping it. Even the smallest psychic task, creating a shimmering light in her palm, would falter and fade, leaving her red-faced and ashamed. The court whispered about her. The council sneered. Even her parents, King Taryan and Queen Silvara, kept their disappointment hidden behind practiced smiles, though Aelira could see it in their eyes. She had accepted her place in the shadows, a princess destined to be admired from afar but never counted on in battle, diplomacy, or leadership. That was until the arrival of a human. Humans were rare visitors to Valora. Fragile, hairless, and seemingly unimpressive, they were more curiosity than threat. Yet when one appeared on the royal docks, disoriented, wearing strange clothing and carrying strange tools, everything changed. His name was Ethan, and he had arrived by accident, a miscalculated warp jump leaving him stranded on Valora. The court treated him with caution, suspicion, and mild contempt. But Aelira was drawn to him, not because of what he could do, but because of who he was: ordinary. "Why are you here?" she asked quietly, stepping out of the shadows of her balcony, her eyes wide and nervous. Ethan looked up from where he was inspecting the crystal walls of the palace. I'm lost," he admitted, holding up a strange, rectangular device. "And I think I took a wrong turn somewhere between Anaria and Valora." Aelira laughed softly, a sound like chimes in the wind. "That sounds oddly human." And so, an unlikely friendship began. Every day, when her lessons ended and her sisters practiced their power, Aelira would sneak out to the palace gardens to meet Ethan. He spoke of other worlds, of humans who had no psychic abilities but relied on ingenuity, courage, and persistence. He showed her small gadgets he had brought, inventions meant for survival and problem-solving. For the first time, Aelira felt something stir within her. Not magic, not strength, but confidence. She began to understand that power could take many forms, and that being the weakest did not make her worthless. It was a small thing at first, learning to climb the crystal cliffs outside the palace without falling, or using her quick wits to navigate the palace's labyrinthine corridors. But soon, she and Ethan began training together. Not with psychic flames or telekinetic strength, but with human methods, strategy, observation, and improvisation. Aelira learned to anticipate her sister's moves in sparring, to set traps in the gardens, to turn her perceived weaknesses into advantages. The turning point came during the Shadow Storm invasion, when the Drakkar, a merciless race of interstellar raiders, descended on Valora. They swept across the cities with fire and shadow beasts, overwhelming even the strongest Leora warriors. Aelira's sisters fought valiantly, but the battle turned against them. Aelira, hiding in the gardens with Ethan, realized something crucial. The Drakkar relied on brute force and intimidation. Their creatures were strong, but predictable. With Ethan's guidance, she set a series of ingenious traps across the palace grounds, luring the beasts into pitfalls and crystal mazes that shattered under controlled pressure. At first, the other Leora laughed at the sight of their princess, leading the defense. But soon, they saw her brilliance. Where raw power had failed, Elira's mind, combined with Ethan's human ingenuity, turned the tide of battle. She was nimble where others were rigid, clever where others were straightforward. In the aftermath, the city lay in ruin, but the Drakkar were driven off. The council, once dismissive, bowed to Elira's strategy. Her parents, tears in their eyes, realized that their daughter had not been weak. She had simply been misunderstood. But Elira's journey did not end there. The human's way of thinking, resilient, adaptive, and fearless in the face of impossibility, had changed her. She realized that true power was not in strength alone, but in understanding, creativity, and courage. Ethan stayed, becoming her closest confidant and advisor. Together, they rebuilt the palace defenses, incorporating human ingenuity with Leora magic. Elira trained her sisters, teaching them that strength could take many forms and that sometimes the weakest could be the most powerful when armed with knowledge and heart. Months later, during the ceremony of ascension, Elira was officially recognized as a leader in her own right. She stood before the council and the people of Valora, her heart pounding but her mind steady. "My sisters are strong," she said, her voice clear. "But strength is more than muscle or psychic fire. It is the courage to face what we do not understand, the wisdom to see what others overlook, and the determination to rise even when the world says we cannot. I may have been called the weakest, but today I stand ready not just as a princess, but as a protector of Valora, alongside those I trust." The crowd erupted in applause. Her parents embraced her, pride radiating in a way words could never convey. And at the edge of the ceremony, Ethan smiled, a quiet, human smile that said more than any crown or title ever could. Over the following years, Elira's legend grew. She was known as the Princess of Ingenuity, the strategist of Valora, and the first human-linked Leora. Where other rulers relied solely on power, she relied on creativity, collaboration, and empathy. And with Ethan by her side, she demonstrated that courage and intelligence could defeat even the most terrifying foes. Valora prospered, and its people learned that every being had potential waiting to be unlocked. Elira's story became a tale of hope, whispered across the twin suns and into the hearts of all who felt small, weak, or overlooked. And yet, despite all the accolades and triumphs, she never forgot the quiet human who had shown her the path, the one who had believed in her before anyone else did. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting violet and gold across the crystal spires, Elira walked with Ethan in the palace gardens. "You've changed me," she said softly, touching his hand. He shook his head. "You changed yourself. I just reminded you what was already there." She smiled, a mixture of relief, gratitude, and love. For the first time, Elira felt complete, not because she was strong or powerful, but because she was seen, understood, and free to be herself. And under the glow of the twin suns, the once weak princess and the human who believed in her stood together, ready to face whatever the universe might throw at them next. For Elira had learned the greatest lesson of all: weakness is only a label. True strength is found in courage, friendship, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. And in that, she was unmatched. The galaxy would remember the story of Elira and Ethan, not as a tale of a weak princess, but as a testament to the power of heart, mind, and the unlikeliest alliances.